The city of Porto lies along the northwest coast of Portugal, and after only 4 short days, it legitimately became my favourite long weekend in Europe. For one, its mixture of impressive architecture, open spaces and charming streets, all built upon rolling hills, give a surprising number of unique vantage points. Then there's the mighty Douro River, which from any angle is a joy and a precarious mix of tranquility and energy. But it's south and further east upriver where things are really taken up a notch. Just like champagne can only come from Champagne, France, port wine can only come from the Douro region. A beautiful green space just 1 hour away, making for the perfect day trip. So in this video we'll not only share traditional vineyard tours, but Porto's surprisingly fun take on a modern day wine tasting experience. You can also expect peaceful tea gardens, a dash of over-tourism and its alternative, some sublime cuisine, unmissable Portuguese music shows, and a famous local dish that borders on being slightly questionable. If you're new here, then welcome. We make travel movies and guides from around the world, hoping you might just find your next holiday inspiration. This is Suitcase Monkey, spending 4 full days around Porto. After the capital of Lisbon, Porto is the second largest city in Portugal, but its importance can't be understated. The name Porto simply comes from the Portuguese word for port or harbour, obviously still a vital industry centuries later. But not only was the fortified wine port named after this city, but even the country itself, with Romans calling this region Portus Cal, which eventually led to the country name we know today. Despite its many ups, downs and numerous stairways leading you around the city, it's an excellent place to explore on foot, and our first few hours were spent just meandering and exploring. The Torre dos Clergos is one of Porto's most iconic landmarks and stands out across multiple spots around the city, even miles away. Built in the mid-1700s, this Baroque-style building was originally built as a church, and the tower was added 13 years later. 250 feet high and 225 rather narrow steps took us to our first panoramic view of the city below. Whilst wandering around Porto, we stumbled upon this peaceful tea garden cafe, which I'd really recommend if you're in the area. If you want to replicate parts of this holiday, I've made a downloadable PDF which will list most of the places featured, and you'll find it linked in the video's description just below the title. Wanting something a little more Portuguese, we also found this bustling bakery. The Portuguese really have mastered the art of pastries, often being sweet but still light, and usually at a fair cost. By now, it was finally time to check into our hotel after dropping our bags off first thing. Again, I'll link the place we stayed below, but in short, we loved it for what it was. A super central, quiet hotel where most attractions are a 5 or 10 minute walk away. It's one direct train from the airport, was reasonably priced, and you're given a free glass of port on arrival, which was a nice touch. For our evening meal, we had to start with Porto's most iconic dish, the francesinha. The story goes that its creator wanted to adapt the croque monsieur to Portuguese tastes, so that meant toasted bread, lots more melted cheese, and lots of local meat, all bathed in a spicy beer and tomato sauce. Somehow an egg was next thrown on top, and fries became a natural side dish, because this heart attack just wasn't cutting it. You'll find this dish in almost every Portuguese restaurant, and it has to be ordered just as much as pasta has to be ordered in Italy. But unlike a good carbonara, if you're anything like me at least, you might find that one francesinha is enough. To end our day, we had this enjoyable introduction to fado. Tracing back to at least the early 1800s, fado is a genre of music that was birthed in Lisbon but spread across the entire country and is still very much alive today. At its heart, it's a strong vocal performance accompanied by 1 or 2 guitars, typically this pear-shaped mandolin-style instrument called the Portuguese guitar that you can see on the left. Not only are you treated to an hour of music, but also a glass of port, because of course, and the artists also intersperse the history of fado throughout. Definitely something to put on your radar. Most paid-for attractions you'll see in this video, the Fado Music Show, entry to the tower, our upcoming wine tasting trip to the Douro Valley, the transport card we use to get around the city, and the World of Wine Museum you'll see at the end, were all booked through this video's sponsor, Get Your Guide. We've always found Get Your Guide to be a simple one-stop shop for holiday destinations, but especially so in Portugal. The website and app are both laid out really well, and it's a great place to find inspiration for things to do upon arrival. This is what happened for us with finding the Fado Music Show and the wine tasting tour. After booking, your tickets are all in one place without having to find separate emails or pieces of paper, complete with live in-app navigation to your eventual meeting point. As mentioned, I've linked most of the attractions visited in the video's description below, either as single attractions or put into one big giant PDF, so you have everything in one place if you're trying to replicate parts of this trip. Thank you to Get Your Guide for continuing to support Suitcase Monkey, all of which allows us to keep making travel vlogs like these. For our second day, we began with the Livraria Lelu, a frequent contender for most top 10 lists in Porto. Not only is it one of the oldest bookstores in Portugal, it is one of the most beautiful in the world. Problem is, it's absolutely packed with people, and that's because this bookstore was said to be the inspiration for parts of Hogwarts. The only catch, J.K. Rowling says she's never seen it. So, yeah. In fairness, the bookshop itself doesn't sell or mention the Harry Potter connection, so it's just one of those things that's become an accepted reality by repetition. I was curious though how Lelu's own website would explain this sort of popularity, but apparently it was an innovative voucher system that really put people into a frenzy. I mean, just imagine my excitement of going online, buying an innovative voucher to enter a shop, joining a 15-minute queue, all to be granted exclusive limited access to what is undoubtedly a beautiful place to redeem said voucher, getting my entry fee discounted from a book that I might not buy. I did hear a tour guide outside saying that he knew that J.K. Rowling had visited, so maybe she was just talking nonsense about her own life. But either way, if this is your sort of thing, there is still genuinely a merit to visiting. Just keep your expectations well in check. I will be making a follow-up Porto video talking more about tips of visiting this city, and I'll go more into the booking side of things there and in regards to visiting this bookstore. But if you are a fan of the Wizarding World, why visit a bookstore that has a questionable connection when you can visit the actual cafe where J.K. Rowling wrote? 12 months after coming up with the idea of Hogwarts, she did live in Porto for 2 years teaching English, so this is one of the few places confirmed as being at least a small part towards the creation of what we know today as Harry Potter. But even without this connection, the Majestic Cafe does live up to its name through its decoration and style, and we found it a great place for a quick bite at breakfast or lunch. It is a little pricey, but its architecture and small spot in literature history made for an easy win to get the day started. The Majestic Cafe finds itself on one of the most popular shopping streets in all of Porto, and is good for a wander north to south. This is also a great area for admiring these beautiful azulejos or tiles, with a walkable assortment all spread across an easy 15 minutes. Coming from the Arabic word for polished stone, the most impressive example was this, the Chapel of Souls. Unlike some churches in the city, this one is free to enter, whereas you can sometimes expect a small fee, sometimes around 2 to 5 euros. For even more tiles, there's São Bento. Even without a ticket, Porto's main train station is well worth a stop for its 20,000 small square canvases, all depicting the most important moments in Portuguese history. Finally, there's Sé do Porto, the most important religious building in the city, and definitely worth a trip, even if it's only from the outside, or this excellent view right out front. with a history dating back to the 1100s, it's been restored and rebuilt throughout the centuries, so it's a mixture of styles, including its inner cloister, where these tiles gently fill its perimeter. For the price of only €3 though, this is an easy suggestion, especially with its own tower looking further south. It was now finally time to see the Douro River up close. On the north side, there's a palpable energetic flair, partly due to its narrow walkway packed with people, but also its excellent performers. I must say, normally I'm not interested in street musicians, but for some reason in Porto, the calibre was almost always at an incredibly high level, taking the atmosphere to the next level. Without question though, it's the Luís I Bridge that really makes the most notable statement of all. Opened in 1886, it operates over 2 levels, the lower deck carrying cars and the upper deck its metro line, with pedestrians crossing both. There aren't many bridges I've seen in person that are not only tall in height, but also placed so much higher from eye level, adding to its striking presence. The south side of the Douro River was easily my preferred area though. It's wider to help navigate the crowds, but the views of Porto itself are beautiful. Not only by walking along the banks, but especially at a higher elevation with any one of these numerous lookout spots. It's important to note here that at this point we're no longer in the city of Porto, but Vila Nova de Gaia. Port wine has been stored specifically here in Gaia, not Porto, since the 17th century. Over a 3-day journey, barrels would move down from the Douro Valley, aging here until export. Gaia today still has more than 60 working cellars, 20 of which can be visited by the public and is an excellent way to spend a few hours. Two places I wanted to share in Gaia for a quick bite was first this food market, a medium-sized offering that has a decent enough mix of food to satisfy most people's appetite, along with indoor seating. Second, this cafe restaurant probably offers the best views over Gaia and Porto. By day it offers a solid lunch menu for a quick snack, and by night turns more into a buzzing cocktail bar with DJ. If you want a free version with views, then the Jardim de Moro itself is a great place to relax and again take in some live music. Or for an even higher viewing platform, head up to this former monastery, dating back to the 1500s. Come the evening though, and this whole area is the place to be if you want to catch the sun's grand finale over Porto. For dinner, we'd previously pre-booked a table at Mistu, which turned out to be a great mixture of all cuisines, but notably Asia and South America. Every dish was really enjoyable, especially this seared butterfish with ponzu sauce and ox hump steak cannelloni. I won't be able to fit in all cafes and restaurants we visited in this one video, so I'll keep a bunch of other foodie recommendations for that follow-up video I mentioned, and I'll share it at the end. But as for right now, we took an early night back at the hotel, readying for our day trip to the wine country of the Douro Valley. Numerous day trips to the Douro region, all following a similar but slightly tweaked path. Again, the specific one we took is linked below. After some beautiful stops to breathe in the country air, we made our way to the first of 2 wine tastings. This family-owned winery spans 5 generations and took us from grape to bottle through fermentation and aging. The most surprising aspect for me came from the revelation that grape stomping is still very much a process used within the industry. Within these containers, even when compared to machinery, the foot can still provide greater control over a wine's taste. After sampling 3 types of port, white, tawny and ruby, and some group banter, we were off to our next location, admittedly with a slight wobble. That wobble would soon become a gentle sway, with an hour-long boat ride along the Douro River itself. Our final stop was at this peaceful vineyard. With 12 acres of olive trees and grapes, this family-run winery has over 100 years of experience. Along with port, we also were treated to a rosé and white wine, all explained by our charismatic host. My favourite tip shared here was the best way at short notice to cool a glass of wine. Simply keep some grapes in your freezer and use them as ice cubes. This will quickly chill the wine, but without diluting the taste. We also had the bizarre honour of seeing what life was like from inside one of these 170-year-old 19,000 litre barrels. And it was either the feeling of quite literally being born again, or the peaceful rolling hills of the Douro Valley, which made today one of our highlights. Taking our return journey, we were looking forward to our final day back in Vila Nova de Gaia. After today's traditional vineyard tour, we'd be ending our trip with a modern approach to the wine tasting experience. Despite Gaia having plenty of wine tours, after spending a day in the Douro Valley, we wanted something a little different. Enter the world of wine. Spread over the size of 4 football pitches, it came from the restoration of old port wine cellars and is almost a village on its own. Here you'll find 7 museums, all connected to wine or Portugal itself, along with 12 restaurants, bars and cafes. In short, you can easily spend an entire day here, and in fact, we were so taken aback with the first museum we visited, we almost did just that. What we ultimately enjoyed was their overall presentation. At its heart, these are museums, but their packaging often crosses into art gallery and interactive exhibition. So you end up with a modern approach that felt new, but familiar all at the same time. First, we checked out Planet Cork. And yes, this was a museum all about cork, which might sound a bit dull, but here's me being caught on camera talking to the shop assistant.
Thank you. Cork is the greatest invention in the world.
Cork is the greatest invention in the world, and Portugal is the world's largest producer. It's used in bridges, space exploration, fashion, vaccines, sport, and all with zero waste. We'd originally purchased just 1 ticket for World of Wine, but after the joy of Cork, we immediately bought the 3 museum pass combo. To be fair, nothing again quite lived up to the excitement of the Cork Museum. I mean, how could anything be as good as Cork? But we next explored the Bridge Collection, sharing 9,000 years of cups, which was okay, but probably worth a skip. The Chocolate Story takes you through the entire history of everyone's favourite treat. From the kings and queens who brought it into prominence, to the invention of the chocolate bar, its marketing over the years, production and export, and a taste of chocolate if you're lucky. The main downside to World of Wine, though, was just how quiet things were. After really taking a liking to this place and what it was trying to achieve, it felt a bit like seeing your only child forget his lines in the school play. The individual tickets are admittedly a little pricey, so their 3 museum pass is probably the overall best value for money. So that leaves us with 1 more museum to go. But before I share my final thoughts on that, do keep an eye out for that follow-up Porto travel guide, which I'll share at the end. I'll cover the 3 World of Wine museums I'd recommend in hindsight, along with more information on getting around the city, hotel suggestions, lots more food recommendations, when to travel, and much, much more. Thanks for getting this far, and thank you once again to Get Your Guide. So that leaves us with the Pink Palace Museum. undoubtedly the most extravagant of all spaces in World of Wine. Focused exclusively on rosé, it sets out to shatter some myths around the pink drink, as well as offering 5 different tastings. But let's be honest, what the Pink Palace ultimately turns into is one big giant fun photo opportunity. And after 5 glasses of rosé, there was no reason to hold back. I hope you enjoy these photos as much as we did taking them.